Muted. Unmuted.
This meeting of the City of Socorro City Council is set to begin. Gentlemen, please remove your hats, and everyone please silence all electronic equipment. No disruptive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to ejection and possible prosecution.
It is 6:07 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Item number 3, Establishment of Quorum.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Here.
Alejandro Garcia,
Aye.
Mayor Angie
Here.
Avalos,
Here.
Rudy Cruz,
Present.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, recognition to IDEA school students, Salvador H. Sanchez Middle School students, and Socorro Middle School students. Ms. Zoe Valles from IDEA Schools Rio Vista. Would you come forward, please? Andrea Palacios from IDEA Public Schools Rio Vista. Eric Hernandez from Salvador H. Sanchez Middle School. And Miss Amy Peña from Socorro Middle School. Would you all come forward? Yes. We're gonna take pictures, okay? Item number 5, recognition and honoring of Socorro Police Department on the quick response to the Socorro High School August 26, 2022 incident.
Mayor, before you present the work, can I state the summary?
Yes, please.
Sure. Okay. Mayor, council, residents of Socorro, as you all know, there was an incident that took place here not too long ago on the 26th of August. I know this because as a parent of a student that attends Socorro High School, I was there and I was witness to the chaos. And one of the things that was observed by myself and many is the quick response on behalf of our Socorro City Police Department, alongside all the other agencies that were involved in the incident. And this is not something that we take lightly. It's not something that's usually the people involved in these types of incidents are the ones who want the attention, but today we wanted to give the attention to the right people. And the right people to give that attention to is our police department. So on behalf of the city of Socorro, our mayor is going to be presenting this plaque to you all and the entire city of Socorro Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I did plan to have the officers here to receive that. However, we're tied up and busy today, so there's nobody available. So I will take that on behalf of the police department, and we will display that award in our front lobby so that everybody's seeing it. Anybody that entering can see the kind of work that you expect of your police department and the kind of work that we carry out. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment, item number 6.
Mayor, we have several speakers for public comment. Our first speaker is Hector Ramos. Mr. Ramos, you have 3 minutes.
Every year, we have to review our income taxes or salary as an income survival. Last 2 years, we see an increment in our property taxes. And if you, as I were looking at the market value of our homes, we find that the appraisal value was at about the average value of our homes. In the last 2 years, the home value raised by 35%, and some homeowners find that their property value rise up to 100%. This is a fictional value because if you buy a new home, it is cheaper than buying a 2-year-old. They do not use the costing price of a new home, instead the highest price of those who were sold near yours, even if you have no improvements. They do not try to use the medium rate. They want more money. That's why even though the Socorro tax rate was lowered, we're going to pay more money. And then they used to blame the market when they are the ones that provoke inflation. Now I am asking our council members, who was the one who set the property taxes? I'm asking who is in charge of applying the tax. We pay high taxes for Lower Valley Water District, El Paso Community College, Socorro SD, El Paso Country, City of Socorro, federal taxes. You approve a certificate of obligation that is not another thing that compromise our city expenses for 20 years. And now we're going to have to add $200 to our taxes because some hospital extension building is going to be approved soon. If this is not inflation, how do you name it? You need to find a way to stop this, to reduce or control taxes and expenses we're paying.
Marisol Moreno. Ms. Moreno, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Marisol Moreno. I have been here for the past couple of meetings asking for your assistance on the issue regarding the semi-trucks being allowed in residential properties depending on the densities. Here is a petition from residents throughout the city that are asking for it. May I approach the council and hand out the petition that has more than 40 signatures? As of today, I am still receiving calls wanting to sign this petition. We are here and we need your help. I hope you listen to us and make the necessary changes that works for the city. Again, we are not asking for semi-trucks to be allowed on high-density areas, only where it's feasible. We are owners of single-family homes with half an acres and larger properties, better known as the Old Socorro. We are willing to follow the guidelines that the city places on us, comply with all regulations, for example, maybe a year moderate permit. Council, these group of residents, including ourselves, we are hardworking people, taxpayers that pay over 7,000 property of taxes per year, by the way, all current. We deserve to make a decent living. Our commercial vehicle is our source of income. It supports our family, including food, shelter, and our children's education. By allowing us to park our tractor in our gated half-an-acre properties, this could enable us to save money on storages fees while still keeping our trucks in our line of sight and keep them safe from vandalism. We are not operating a business out of our home. Let's make that clear. The petition is only to seek the amend the ordinance to permit only tractors, not trailers, tanks, or containers. Please note, Council, recreational vehicles, RVs, are way bigger and heavier than the tractor. Trash pickup trucks, schools, buses, cement trucks, all weigh more than the tractor, and they roam our streets on a daily basis, versus the truck is out working most of the time. Your consideration to this matter is important to our lives, so please make the correct decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leticia Valdez. Ms. Valdez, you have 3 minutes.
Muy buenas tardes. Muy buenas tardes a todos. Todos venimos unidos a que reconsideren la petición del cambio de ordenanza. Gracias a estos troqueros, ¿se pueden parar, por favor? Gracias a ellos, nosotros podemos tener la comodidad de estas cosas, donde ustedes están sentados, la casa la casa que está construida, ellos la transportaron, ¿sí? Por ejemplo, a mi esposo, le avisaron, él iba en camino a Houston y le avisaron que su mamá murió. Siguiente año le avisaron que su hermano murió, que su hermana murió, y ellos no desisten. Si nosotros estamos aquí, nos avisan que alguien murió, salimos corriendo, pero ellos corren a entregar sus cargas. Gracias a ellos tenemos la comodidad de estas sillas, la comodidad de sus hijos. Por eso les venimos a pedir que reconsideren. Ellos llegan cansados en la madrugada y dejar la troca en algún lugar donde corre peligro, bajar todas sus cosas, entre ropa, comida, la computadora y todo, es cansado. Bajarse de la troca, tomar su carro y llegar a su casa, cuando lo que ellos desean es llegar a su domicilio, ¿sí? Muchas veces los menosprecian y en lugar de decir gracias, los menosprecian y los tratan muy mal, ¿cierto o no? Los ven como lo peor, porque a mi esposo le ha pasado, ¿sí? Ellos son profesionales, son entregados a su trabajo. Y gracias a ellos que transportan desde la madera, desde la piel, desde la tela que ustedes traen, ese vestimenta, gracias a ellos tenemos todas esas comodidades. Además, estamos aquí recorriendo a ustedes para que nos apoyen, no para que a la primera nos digan no. Si tenemos una área, yo compré una casa grande para no tener esos problemas. Pago 9,400 de impuestos al año, 830 y tantos dólares más mensualmente aparte de mi mortgage, para que yo no pueda tener mi troca ahí. O sea, no es justo, no es justo. ¿Y todo ese dinero dónde queda? ¿Y dónde está su apoyo? ¿Y dónde está su reconsideración? Como humanos se los venimos a pedir. y que reconsideren el valor y el trabajo de estas personas entregadas. No les importa dejar graduaciones, cumpleaños de sus hijos, velorios, enfermedades. Han tenido que salir enfermos a trabajar para que nosotros tengamos todas estas comodidades, porque no lo negarán. Todo esto ha sido transportado por estos troqueros, ¿sí? Por estos troqueros ha sido transportados. Entonces considérenlo, no nada más nos digan que no, ayúdennos, porque está en ustedes. No nada más decir no, 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 sin ver el trasfondo de todo esto. Se los pido. Gracias, que Dios les bendiga.
Joseph Snell. Joseph Snell.
I believe he was on 31, no?
I'm sorry.
He was on 31.
Martin Lopez. I'm sorry, Mr. Snell. You're,
Buenas tardes a todos. Antes que nada, pues en realidad ya se dijeron muchas cosas referente a este tema. Simplemente les pido su apoyo para que pues reconsideren su decisión, puesto que al igual que mis compañeros, yo tengo mi familia y muchas de las veces andamos fuera y pues ya lo que queremos es llegar a nuestras casas, a descansar, y para nosotros es más fácil llegar a nuestra casa, estar más seguros en nuestro terreno, se supone, en nuestra propiedad. Y muchas de las veces pues nos llegan notificaciones de que no podemos dejar ahí nuestro camión. No estamos hablando de tenerlo ahí permanentemente, nosotros nos mantenemos más en la carretera que en nuestro hogar, esa es la realidad. Entonces les pido de corazón que reconsideren la decisión para que nosotros podamos descansar mejor en nuestro hogar que en un truck stop o en un área donde podamos tener más riesgo. Así que les pido eso de corazón. Gracias.
Gerald Grijalva. Mr. Grijalva. Mr. Grijalva, you have 3 minutes.
All right. Good afternoon, Madam President, or Mayor, I'm sorry, Board Council members. So I'm talking like I'm from the Lower Valley Water District, which I am. I'm the General Manager for the Lower Valley Water District. For those of you who haven't seen me here, we've been here before. And what I want to do tonight is just say thank you. We field calls just like you do with customer complaints over pretty much everything. And the latest one was a paving project that we had couldn't begin because our paver broke down. So we asked the City of Socorro to provide an interlocal with us to where we would pay for that service to the City of Socorro. It was signed and approved by your board or your council, and we're very grateful for that. I'm also grateful that you ended up with a great streets or paving supervisor or manager. We know him well, and he's done a great job. And so I just wanted to say it's working. Keep the paving cuts coming, and we'll pay for them, especially inside the City of Socorro. Thank you.
Thank you.
Former Mayor Jesus Ruiz.
Hi, hello. Hello?
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I noticed on the agenda that there's an item where there is a motion to take away an item that was not passed before. I just wanted to comment on that because it's rare that you see that. However, that type of motion is usually made when a motion has actually passed before, because it could be an ordinance or a law or regulation, and so the motion is usually made when it passes, not when it fails, which I believe it did in this situation. We could have also made a motion to go ahead and reconsider the item, but that's done by somebody who voted with a majority, which in this case I believe that Ms. Villalobos voted to abstain, because in her backup she does say that she wants to go ahead and have that reconsideration. However, I do believe that under Robert's Rules of Orders, you have to be a member of the majority in order for that to happen. So if we want to rescind the motion, I think that would be kind of unnatural unless I'm wrong, just because the motion didn't pass. It's usually done when it passes. And then she does ask to reconsider, but then again, she wasn't a member of the majority, so she would not be able to reconsider that. That would be somebody who voted in the majority. I just wanted to make that comment, not necessarily in favor or against the item or the substance. It was just something that I saw that stood out to me. So just wanted to make that comment just when it does get talked about, because it isn't normal for that to happen, I guess, in my opinion. But I do want to thank everybody. I know that tax season and budget season is very hard, very strenuous. We get a lot of feedback, and I do want to thank all of the staff of the City of Socorro for all of the hard work that they do. I know that Ms. Rodriguez has a great team working with her. I think she does a great job, and so does all her department heads and all the city staff of the City of Socorro. And I just want to say thank you for everybody for your hard work during this tax season. Thank you.
Mayor, those were all our speakers.
Thank you.
Mayor, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to move agenda items number 31, 35, and 36 up.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia,
Aye.
Rudy Cruz,
Yes.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Planning and Zoning Department, item number 31, discussion and action to approve event permit for Fall Festival and Fashion Show on October 22nd, 2022, from 5 to 9 p.m. at Bodega Loya.
Mayor and Council, good evening. Carlos Gainal with Planning and Zoning. Hope you all are doing well this afternoon. This is an event permit, so as you know, anytime that there's an event scheduled within the city limits of Socorro, where the event organizers anticipate that there will be more than 200 individuals, it has to come to council. I do have a small presentation just with the facts, but a lot of the information is in your backup. So the summary of the request, again, is the approval of an event permit. The applicant is Joseph D. Snell, and the event is the Fall Festival and Fashion Show. The date would be October 22nd of this year from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., and the location is at Bodega Loya, which is at 10257 Socorro Road. And again, as I mentioned, next slide, please. Next two slides. And as I mentioned, the individual is expecting over 200 people. And just as another note, the applicant is currently working with the Socorro Police Department to help usher people from the parking lot across the street from Bodega Loya to the location of the event. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and Mr. Snell is here as well to address the council.
Do we have any questions?
We need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Joseph Snell.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. I am Joseph Snell. So this event that I am asking your approval of, any event that I have done since my wife passed September of last year, it's been a passion of mine to give back to the community. And this event is a community event. I want to highlight the city of Socorro. I've been in El Paso since 2011, so I've been in El Paso for like 11 years now. Prior military veteran, and I will be in El Paso to the day that I die. Now this event, I want to bring joy to the city of Socorro, and I've grown to, excuse me, I'm sorry. I've grown to get to know Ralph and Marty. They're the owners of the Bodega Loya Farm, and I feel like family with the lawyers. So this event, like I say, is a community event, giving back to the community, and I want to highlight Socorro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia,
Aye.
Rudy Cruz,
Yes.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Mayor and council, item number 35, discussion and action to direct staff to amend ordinance chapter 42 or chapter 46-213 through 46-234 to implement a temporary conditional use permit for the use of parking commercial/passenger vehicles to include recreational vehicles.
Motion to approve for discussion?
Second.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, the item that I bring before you today is to discuss and act upon the amendment to the ordinances stated in the agenda item. I took and again, just to be completely transparent, I believe this item is very similar to the item that comes after this one here. But in the city ordinances, I was reading through them, and it's not so much a discrepancy. I know that we've adopted several ordinances that are very similar to the entire state of Texas. No tractor trailers are not allowed in residential areas. We get that. But at the same time, I think we fail to realize that not all residential areas look like the residential areas of our city. There is still a lot of farmland out here. There's still a lot of agriculture. I know that sometimes we may get stuck on some of our old farm roads as well behind a tractor. You know, farming and ranching and stuff like that, it's still very well and alive in our city and where we live. But I do understand that the item that was brought before this council at the last meeting was pretty generalized, and what that was going to do was it was going to allow tractor trailers to roam the entire city. That's not what we want to do. But what I'm bringing to the table here is what's known as a temporary conditional use permit, which we're very familiar with. But the temporary conditional use permit would only apply to those residents with properties with half an acre or more, which pretty much disqualifies a large portion of our residents. I want you to know that. Also, the temporary conditional use permit would have some requirements. Some of those would be, you know, you have to apply for your permit 2 weeks before it expires. It would be annual. And again, these are just some ideas. It doesn't necessarily need to be what I've placed on the item, on the agenda today. But I would also like to direct staff to develop some type of a fee cost analysis or maybe like a price model for something like this. It's new, it's very different, it's very unique, so is our city. But no more than one tractor parking permit per half acre, meaning you cannot park more than one tractor trailer on each half acre that you own. And if you decide to apply for this permit and you do qualify for this permit and it does get granted, your tractor trailer must be parked inside your property on a cement slab or compacted screening overlay. Also, the tractor trailers must use designated truck routes for entry and exit, which have been outlined in our city ordinances as well. No idling for more than 10 minutes. I understand that can be an issue for some of the neighbors, which is why I decided 10 minutes. Any and all permit holders will be responsible for any damages caused to the city sidewalks used for entry and exit of their property, meaning should you have a sidewalk in front of your property and your tractor trailer has to go over this sidewalk here and you do crack the cement, you are responsible and liable for replacing that sidewalk because those sidewalks were built with city funds. Failure to comply, as you know, would result in removal of the permit and a fine, also to be discussed with staff. Again, these are just recommendations right now, and it's up for discussion and action.
Mayor.
Mr. Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, we did deny this last meeting because it was very general. And where I live, trailers have broken, streets have broken, and that's the biggest. So this is something that has things that we can see, because sometimes you want to throw it up and say, let's see what happens. But here we have half an acre property. You guys, Ms. Moreno said high density areas. That was music to my ears because that's where we were scared of. And me and Mr. Cruz made that point last week that we're scared of that because and you made the point of you live in Old Socorro. You're exactly right. But sometimes how it presents, it can't be that broad because it scares all of us up here. So, but I appreciate you coming in and explaining the high density areas. You know, you live in a big house, like the lady said, and that's what we want to do. And this is a much clearer picture of what you guys want. And I think it's a lot easier for us to make a decision, because once you bring something that we want this, well, how's it going to affect my area? Because it doesn't say half an acre and stuff like that. So that's my comment, and thank you.
Ms. Villalobos?
Thank you so much. So I guess you guys really can't hear me, and I will be there soon as doctor says that I can be among people. It's been hard for me to stay home, and anyways, but I did mention, because I did mention that Ms. Moreno did express to me and express to all of you, and I don't know if you can hear me correctly. I think we're having a communication, that they understood that they could not go through all the streets. They were willing to, if you guys would map it out, they would comply. That's what I said. The other thing is that we're getting offhand here, because I was looking for recommendations. We weren't asking to approve this item, to come back with recommendations how we could make this work. And I asked you guys to help me with it. But I love, Mr. Cruz, how you broke it down. That's awesome. Some of your ideas are my ideas, but I was waiting for this to pass. And then, you know, planning and zoning comes back with recommendations, and add our own recommendations. And another item, you know, that we need to add to all this, and thank you so much, was, you know, we need to do the regulations where they cannot do mechanics at home. They have to put a cement slab to put their vehicle on there. Those were the recommendations I was asking for. I'm glad that we're on the same page today, and just thank you.
Mr. Nevares?
What a difference some detail provides, right? Okay. So my suggestion to you folks is make sure we comply with what's being suggested here, and we can discuss this further. But the details would always help both the community and the city of Socorro. Let's make it a win-win situation here.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor, we have some speakers for this item. Marisol Moreno. Leticia Valdez. Martin Lopez. Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
So, Ms. Villalobos, the item number 36 would be along those lines. Would you like to delete?
I would, but I'd like to ask Jim a question. I'm sorry, is Jim there? I apologize.
Yes,
I don't
one
see
moment,
him.
please.
Okay.
Item number 36, discussion and action to rescind the motion denying agenda item number 38 from the September 1st, 2022 City Council meeting.
You need a motion?
Oh, we're,
Motion
Ms.
to.
Villalobos,
Is
you had a
on my-
question for Mr. Martinez?
Yes. I didn't know if he was there or not.
Motion to open for discussion.
Second.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Martinez, so this item is separate from the other item, and we can move forward, correct?
I mean, it's an independent item. It's obvious, the substance of it is obviously related to 35, but I mean, yes, the council can still act on 36.
Okay. I just want to make sure that it doesn't come back because, you know, we voted incorrectly or we did something incorrectly. I'm good with deleting it, in other words.
Okay, Mr. Garcia?
Jim, I have a question, only for transparency. we did deny this. I want to know why was it brought back, and what power does it have when you bring it back? Because it says we did deny it. Now, another item was brought, totally different, more details, totally different item, written on paper. But how can we, I need an explanation on how something we denied came back to council, and what weight does it carry?
Yeah, let me be careful. I can give you a narrow answer, but a broader discussion about procedure generally and amending the rules and amending the ordinance that council has adopted for the rules that govern a meeting, that might require a separate agenda item for a broader discussion. The short version is it wasn't brought back, technically.
Okay.
It's a separate item. The item is to rescind the prior action. That's permissible. The rules say you can do that. You might have heard Mayor Ruiz say that you can do a motion to reconsider, but you have to be in a certain part of the minority or the majority. Well, that's true, but reconsideration applies during the same meeting. You have to reconsider the item before that meeting ends.
Right.
Rescission is what applies after the meeting ends, and council has the authority to rescind a prior action it's taken. So that's what got on the agenda.
By one individual?
By two, as long as it otherwise complies with the city's agenda formation ordinance, which requires one to nominate and another person to second, and this was.
Okay.
I'm happy to place an item, or obviously any member of council could place a separate item on the agenda later for broader discussion, or to amend the current ordinance you have that adopted Robert's rules.
Right.
That's what Robert's rules provide for, rescission. You don't have to. I mean, you could say we adopt Robert's rules with the exclusion of the rescission provisions. We're not going to do that now. That's up to council.
Right. Now, one last question. If it's brought back and it gets denied again, what's the difference from the 2 weeks ago to today?
Yeah, again, technically, it wasn't brought back. This is a separate.
Technically, it didn't carry any weight. Is that what I'm trying to understand?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this isn't bringing the same item back. This is to rescind a prior action, to rescind an identified action. Council could approve that item to rescind it. Council could delete that item.
So that's all we're doing is rescinding it?
Yes. Yeah, and the motion, again, you heard Mr. Ruiz say it only applies when a motion is passed.
Right.
Well, the motion did pass.
Yeah.
The motion was to deny it.
Right.
And under Robert's rules, that's a successful motion. It passed. I think it was 4 to 1. Yes. So you have the ability to rescind an adopted motion, a passed motion, and that's what this was.
Okay. Thank you for the civics lesson.
Yes. If you were to grant this, if you were to rescind this, let's do it this way. That's a good point. If you were to rescind this, then you could have a renewed discussion of the underlying item.
In the next meeting.
Actually, you could do it in this one, right?
Okay.
Mr. Garcia, would you like to amend your motion?
Motion to delete?
Second.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Excuse me, Mayor, we do have three speakers. Marisol Moreno? Would you like to speak on this item? So you don't want to speak on this item? But what was the motion?
The motion was to delete.
Okay. Leticia Valdez? Martin Lopez? Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos?
Yes.
Moving on to consent agenda.
Mayor, we do have people from the Lower Valley Water District, and I know item 34, they're here waiting on item 34. I don't know if you want to consider moving that item up.
Motion to move up item 34?
Second.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos?
Yes.
Item number 34, discussion and action to approve waiver for excavation permit fee for the Lower Valley Water District for Varela Drive Water Main Extension Project for a total of 10,554 square feet excavation.
Mayor and Council, once again, Carlos Gainar with Planning and Zoning. The item that's in front of you is a request by the Lower Valley Water District to waive the excavation permit. So again, they're doing construction work on the city's right-of-way. There is an excavation permit that is required. It is part of your backup. So city staff reviewed the permit, and when you calculate the linear feet times the square feet at the rate of $375 per square foot, the fee essentially comes out to $39,577. On August 22nd, we received an email by Mr. Grijalva asking staff essentially to waive the fee. Staff cannot waive the fee, and so that is why the item is in front of you for your consideration to waive the fee of $39,577 to the Lower Valley Water District for the excavation that's part of your backup. Happy to answer any questions. I think Mr. Grijalva is here as well. He spoke obviously during the public comment, but that is the item that's in front of you.
Mr. Garcia?
Mr. Galinar, I don't see no staff recommendations. What's the staff recommendation?
You know, sir, it really is going to be up to you. I mean, the work, let me say, so it really is going to be up to you, but let me say this. Part of the work that is being done is in an area, Mr. Cruz, that you had asked us to look at where there's lacking water, infrastructure, gas. So so the area does include that portion, right? So I think perhaps in good faith, if the staff, city council wanted to work with the Lower Valley Water District, maybe meet them halfway, that might be a consideration that you all may want to take a look at.
Ms. Rodarte?
Yes, and again, it's Mr. Cruz. Also, Ms. Colombia Lobos, this is where the Varela subdivision is at. So it's definitely an improvement for that area. For, you know, they're getting wastewater and they're getting, and obviously, you know, a lack of funds. Lower Valley Water District is already doing their part by being able to, and you know, come in with the infrastructure. So they're just asking us to waive the fee since it's a little hefty.
Mayor,
Ms. Villalobos?
thank you. Just real quick, I've spoken to the residents at Varela. Some of them have been there for 20, 30 years. This is heaven sent for them. They've been waiting a very, very long time. And so right now, in the past, there weren't any funds and we could not help them. Now when we have the funds, they're ready to go. And I would really, truly appreciate it if you, for these constituents, would consider it. Thank you.
Motion to approve?
Second.
No questions for Mr. Grijalva? Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Rudy Cruz?
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Yes. Mayor,
Ms. Villalobos?
I need to excuse myself for about 5 minutes, if that's okay with everybody. I don't know what the protocol is. Do I leave my camera
No,
on? Do I turn it on?
Go ahead and mute yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Mayor, thank you. Michael Flores, Lower Valley Water District. I want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to continue working with council in this project. We have us here, and some of the residents from Varela are also here present, that we would like for you all to continue supporting the Lower Valley District's role of expanding water and wastewater in our communities. So as we trek forward and we go into the other projects as we're growing, I'm sure this will not be the last project that will come to you all. I know the mayor has come to a couple of our events, ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings. One of the projects, the last projects that was a success, was for for Rosa Azul, which was, as you know, was a thorn in everyone's side, that took a long time for those residents in Rosa Azul to get sewer. And so again, I want to say thank you to the mayor for their leadership and city council for taking the reins and helping the district as we expand and grow. And so thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz?
So just a statement that I want to make, because this entire council here is in agreement when we say that there's no resident in the city of Socorro that should not have the necessities that everyone else has: water, sewer, and natural gas. We would also like to extend an invite to Lower Valley Water, because we're also going to be working on some community meetings here, because we need to identify some areas here. But we're going to need your support and your help also, Mr. Grijalva, alongside your staff and your team. And hopefully we can have some ribbon cutting ceremonies of our own here when we bring in some utilities for some of these folks that have long awaited water and other utilities and such like that. But I appreciate you all working with us, and thank you.
Can we suspend the rules for Mr. Grijalva?
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
And real quickly, we do have a website where all of the projects are laid out, for both first-time water on one side, first-time sewer on the other. If you see people that are still being left out, we want to know, because we've made it a priority, this administration, we're 5 years old, to make sure that everybody here has at least water. Water's got to be a priority. And then we'll go with the sewer because it's a little bit more expensive, and we'll schedule that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to consent agenda.
Motion to consent agenda?
Second.
To consent?
Con- Yes.
To approve.
What did you say?
Consent agenda?
Consent agenda?
They want-
To approve. You have to say
approve.
approve.
Motion
said
to
approve.
approve consent agenda.
He said approve. Yeah. Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos is absent.
Moving on to regular agenda, public hearing and ordinances. Item number 11, public hearing on an ordinance adopting a budget for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2022, and ending on September 30th, 2023. It is 6:54 p.m. Public hearing is now open. We can't leave yet. Okay. As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 6:55 p.m. Item number 12, second reading and adoption on an ordinance adopting a budget for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2022, and ending on September 30th, 2023.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mayor and Council, Charlie Castellano, Finance Director. There have been no changes since we last brought this item up, and we're asking you to adopt the budget as is.
Yes.
Okay. Did you give him a special voting for the second? Or for the? Not for the budget.
Okay.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia,
Aye.
Rudy Cruz is absent, and Ivan Colo Villalobos is absent.
Item number 13, discussion and action to ratify the tax increase set forth in ordinance adopting a budget for the city of Socorro. Do you have a motion?
Motion for discussion?
Second.
Motion for discussion
Item number 13.
on number 13.
Motion to approve?
Second.
So good evening, Mayor and Council. The voter approval tax rate is 0.765492 per $100.
To be exact.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia,
Aye.
Rudy Cruz is absent, and Ivan Colo Villalobos. Ms. Villalobos?
Yes.
Item number 14, public hearing on an ordinance authorizing the assessment and collection of property taxes within the city of Socorro, Texas, and further authorizing the El Paso City Tax Office to perform the actual assessment and collection of said property taxes on behalf of the city of Socorro, Texas, for the fiscal year commencing on October 1st, 2022, and ending on September 30th, 2023.
Motion to approve?
It's a public
It's a
hearing.
public hearing. It is 6:58 PM. Public hearing is now open.
Mr. Ramos?
Mayor, may I?
Yes, Mr. Martinez.
Yeah, but this is, the public should hear this before they speak.
Okay.
In terms of transparency, be aware, when we get to item 15, this really isn't for 14, but for 15, when we get there, we're going to recommend a floor amendment to the ordinance. There was simply a statutory part that was missing. Chapter 26 of the tax code is excruciatingly specific, and it is very much a Simon Says kind of statute. So there's one notice that's in all caps in the ordinance. There needs to be a second one, and just for transparency purposes, the floor amendment I would recommend will be the following. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 5.316%, and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately $53.16. So, FYI.
Okay, who's going to read that?
You don't need that for the public
We
hearing.
don't need that, okay. Mr. Ramos, would you like to?
Good afternoon. This item is for authorizing El Paso City Tax Office the collection of our property taxes. There are two items here. First, the assessment of the tax rate, and second, the contract with the El Paso City Tax Office. Why do you post this notice as if we have an option to set our own property tax rate if this is imposed from the state of Texas? Why do you post this notice as if we can deny the collection by the El Paso City Tax Office? If we can deny it, why we didn't collect the property tax through our own office treasurer? Why do we have to pay others to collect our income? We lose money, we lose time, we give away control of our land, we lose some jobs. If you really are our representatives, you must disapprove of this item and ask for our treasurer or office to do the property tax collection. How much money are we going to lose because of paying for this ordinance to pass?
Mayor? Oh,
Ms.
never mind.
Villalobos?
I'm sorry, are we in public?
We're on the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other speakers? As there are no more speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:01 PM. Item number 15, second reading and adoption of an ordinance authorizing the assessment and collection of property taxes within the city of Socorro, Texas, and further authorizing the El Paso City Tax Office to perform the actual assessment and collection of said property taxes on behalf of the city of Socorro, Texas, for the fiscal year commencing on October 1st, 2022, and ending on September 30th, 2023.
Mayor, may I?
Mr. Martinez?
Floor amendments come before the substantive action. I would recommend a floor amendment, and I have the language if somebody needs it.
Yeah. Can you read the action? Who has it over? Who's gonna give it to you?
And which is the motion? Is it this one?
It's the one in the,
On which agenda is
it's on 15.
this one? So am I just reading this, or it's also?
What did he ask you?
I'm sorry, Mr. Cruz, I needed to have a microphone on my tie when I was up there. I would recommend to the council to make a floor amendment, the motion, to adopt, a motion rather, to adopt the floor amendment. The motion would be to amend the proposed ordinance to include the language that I've provided for you on the iPad.
Okay, so at this time, I'd like to make a motion to amend the current
Proposed ordinance.
to include the language of, and I'm going to read the language. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 5.316% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately $53.16.
Second.
Olivia, we need a vote on this is just the floor amendment.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Cano Villalobos.
Yes.
Mayor and council, you're still on item 15, but you do need to take action on the underlying item. The vote you just took was just for the floor amendment. Thank you, Mr. Cruz.
Motion to approve?
No.
No.
Sorry to interrupt. That's why I have the handout. If council is inclined to approve it, again, this isn't me.
This
It
is
wasn't my idea. This is literally required verbatim by the tax code adopted by the state of Texas.
Would you like to read that as well?
I'd like to make a motion on item number 15 to adopt a tax rate. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of .765492, which is effectively a 4.4% increase in the tax rate.
Second.
Second.
Yes, sorry.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Cano Villalobos.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to move item 32 up.
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Cano Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 32, discussion and action for approval of event permit and payment waiver for La Purísima Catholic Church annual celebration of Feast of Archangels to be held on October 1st, 2022, and will take place at the Mission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, Carlos Gaynad. I think, Mayor, you read a lot of the details into the record. The only thing that I would add is the time would be from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And again, La Purísima is asking for two things. One, the permit, because they expect over 200 people. And then number two, a waiver of the permit fee, which is within your purview. And so that's the item that's in front of you.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 16, public hearing on an ordinance of the City of Socorro, Texas, adopting the amended organizational chart for the City of Socorro. Public hearing is now open at 7:07 PM. As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed. It is 7:07 PM. Item number 17, second reading and adoption on an ordinance of the City of Socorro, Texas, adopting the amended organizational chart for the City of Socorro.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This action approves the amendment of the City of Socorro organizational chart for fiscal year 2022-2023. Amendment reflects all changes to job descriptions and added positions. The planning technician updating description to planner, foreman updating description to field operations supervisor, K-9 police officers, economic recovery coordinator, program officer compliance specialist, community wellness coordinator, and the artist are the additions to the organizational chart. Do you all have any questions?
Mayor?
Ms. Villalobos?
Ms. Rodarte, so this chart, I haven't compared it to the last one. It's changing a little bit, or it was just the positions, válgame, I'm sorry, I drew a blank.
Yes, Ms. Colon. So the positions that I just pointed out right now are the ones that are changing, that are being added to this chart.
Okay, so the title's changing, but the way the organization was is not changing, just
No,
the
we're
title.
just adding titles to departments, ma'am.
Okay, all righty then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 18, public hearing of ordinance 515, amendment 3, amendment to increase revenue of $557,400 and in decrease expenditures by $8,239.77, fiscal year 2021-2022. It is 7:10 PM. Public hearing is now open. That's okay. As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:10 PM. Item number 19, second reading and adoption of ordinance 515, amendment 3, amendment to increase revenue of $557,400 and decrease expenditures by $8,239.77, fiscal year 2021-2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is an amendment 3 to our budget ordinance 515. It's our last amendment for fiscal year. Staff is asking to increase revenues of $557,000, $557,400. This increase in revenue comes from the money the city has received from building permits, rezoning fees, and a project that El Paso County is reimbursing the city for. Staff is also asking to decrease our total budget by $8,239. The backup has the explanation of the amendment. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia,
Aye.
Rudy Cruz,
Yes.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Moving on to Human Resources Department, item number 20, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Employee Handbook, Section G, time off, G.01, paid time off.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Carol Candelaria here, HR Director. This agenda item is requesting an amendment to the Employee Handbook, Section G, paid time off, G1. Our current policy, which is attached, states that upon initial employment of the employees, they're entitled to 10 paid days of vacation time each year, and they accrue at a rate of 3.08. And the start after an employee completes 5 years of employment, then those employees are eligible to receive 15 days of vacation, which is an accrual rate of 4.6. The amendment that we are requesting to this policy are for the police officers only. Pursuant to the Texas Local Code, Government Code number 1420013.b, states that peace officers that are employed are entitled to receive 15 days of vacation, paid time off each year, as long as they have completed a regular employment of at least 1 year. It is also saying that the peace officers will now begin their accrual, changing from a 3.08 to a 4.62 per pay period. The second change of this policy is our current policy. It states that an individual that has a maximum accrual of paid time off of leave to be carried over to the next fiscal year is 40 hours. Employees who exceed that amount of 40 hours to carry over in the next fiscal year will lose that time of accrual. So we're asking for the amendment to this policy at the sole exception to allow employees to carry over and to be paid for any vacation hours in excess of 40 hours due to emergency or unforeseen staffing issues such as a workers' comp, a FEMLA, and or a military leave. The leave would have to exceed 30 days or more. The leave extends beyond the end of the fiscal year, and the decision will be made at the sole discretion of the city manager in collaboration with the head of the department managers and with the with the HR department. Please note that this amendment to this policy has been approved by Civil Service, which was approved on September the 12th of 2022. We ask that council approve this amendment to this policy. I'm available for any questions that you may have at this time.
Mr. Cruz?
Ms. Candelaria,
Yes, sir.
my question to you is the item that you brought up in reference to the police department officials, that is state law now.
That is correct.
That's the amendment that we need to make to our HR policies, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And then my second question is, because I'm not too familiar with the accumulation of vacation hours here with the city, at what point do you start, I mean, one is sick leave and the other is vacation hours.
That is correct.
So sick leave, at what amount do you lose sick leave hours?
Sick leave is accrued at a 3.69 per pay period, which gives you a total of 96 hours per calendar year. There is no losing of that sick time. It just carries over as each year continues. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think we need to revisit that.
Ms. Rodarte?
Correct, so I think there's a little bit of confusion here. So what we're asking is that there is people that go on FMLA or on military leave, or just because there's not enough people to cover, like we have a situation right now in the dispatch, we have 4 to 5 vacancies where our supervisor can't take time off. We wouldn't have anybody answering phone calls. So he is carrying a little bit over 40 hours, and if he doesn't use them by the end of the fiscal year, he will lose them. There's no, right now, that's the way the policy is written. If you're on military leave for a whole year, and you're accruing, but you're not able to use those hours because you're on military leave, then you're not able to take your vacation. So they're asking just to be able to carry over the hours that they have in excess to the next year. Right, so it's only for very special circumstances, and that would have to be reviewed by the HR department, the department head, and the city manager when making that decision. And I don't think it should only apply for the police department. I think it should be across the board, because not only police officers get FMLA, regular employees also do. Right, so I think this policy should be across the board, because we do run into circumstances that are beyond our control, and we don't want to affect those employees more than what they're already affected, so allowing them to carry over the hours that they have left to the next fiscal year. I think that's a proposal that we're trying to make.
That is correct. Thank you, Ms. Olarte.
Mr. Nevares?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are they able to buy back time? For example, where I work at, we allow employees to buy back a week's worth, 40 hours.
No, sir. At this time, that is not a part of our policy.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Garcia?
Okay, my question is, so if they amount 2-3 months of sick leave, how would that work out when they ask for 2-3 months off of sick leave?
So sick leave you don't lose. It's vacation hours.
So vacation
And
hours.
you won't accumulate 3 months of vacation. There's no way. Because you're only accumulating 3.08 in a year, in every pay period, right? So in a year, you get about 2 weeks of vacation.
2 weeks.
But you're only allowed to carry over 40.
Correct.
40 hours.
Current policy right now
Correct.
says that if you do not use your excess vacation by the time the fiscal year turns over, then whatever excess amount you will lose. So the recommendation is to allow those employees under those circumstances to be able to carry the excess amount because of those extinguishing circumstances.
And
Mr.
sick
Cruz?
leave just carries over, and when you do leave the job, the sick hour stays with the city.
Mr. Cruz?
I had one last question.
Yes, sir.
Let's just say one of our staff members becomes ill, and in our program, do we have the ability to donate sick leave hours?
Our current policy does not allow that option, sir.
However, you can request to borrow hours from yourself. So I can request up to 2 weeks.
That's correct,
2
ma'am.
weeks of sick leave, and then when I get back, and as I am accruing them, I'm paying back those hours to the city. So I'm not accruing until those 40 to 80 hours are paid back to the city,
Right.
then I start accruing.
So it's a request for the advance pay.
However, our
That's
sick leave, you're accruing leave, I've been here 8 years, I have over 467 hours. However, we do have employees that abuse that leave, right? That's the reason why when they go out on leave, they can borrow, but they have to pay it back when they come back.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 21, discussion and action to amend policy 1.2, jurisdiction, organization, and authority of the Socorro Police Department Policies and Procedures Manual.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mayor and council, I would like to defer items 21 to 27 to the discussion to the chief of police at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Dave Burton, Chief of Police. A lot of the policy changes that you're going to see are minor language changes that we had to make to the existing Texas best practices. Those are the policy manual that we brought into being in 2020 because we upgraded it. However, The December 1st incident resulted in an internal affairs investigation, and these are the recommendations that are directly related to the policy. So that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Item 1.2, jurisdiction, organization, or authority, and they're in red, they're highlighted, so it's easy to find them. This one has to do, I'm sorry, well, mine's in yellow, but this one has to do with Section 8, off-duty authority. And the language that we're adding under Section H, subsection 1A. No off-duty Socorro personnel shall self-dispatch or deploy to any active police incident, response, or event without receiving instructions and authorization from an on-duty Socorro police supervisor. And B, any response by an off-duty Socorro police officer after receiving authorization from the on-duty supervisor shall include the requirement to have all necessary equipment, inclusive of a uniform item that readily identifies the responding personnel as a Socorro police officer. Again, that was put in place because, number one, we had officers that did self-dispatch, so this prohibits that, and I also had police officers that were not dressed that identified them as police officers at the time. That's not a danger for us because we know each other, but that's a danger when you have other agencies that are involved, as this was, because it was multi-jurisdictional. So I would ask you to approve the changes to 1.2.
Motion to approve.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Ms. Villalobos?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Item number 22, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department's Policies and Procedures Manual, Policy 3.2, Field Training.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Dave Burton, Chief of Police. This one actually is not related to the December 1st incident. This is related to a program that we have in place at the police department, which is the field training program. That program is 16 weeks in length. That requires a police officer coming out of the academy to ride with a senior police officer, receive mentoring, counseling, guidance from them, and then receive grading, evaluations, and a sign-off on their job tasking. It is actually a supervisory position, if you will, the first time that some of our police officers are experiencing that because they're responsible for another adult. Quite literally, that recruit police officer operates under that senior police officer's badge. So anything that recruit officer does that's a negative impact will come back and reflect on that training officer. So the training officer has a lot of responsibility. Within the industry, there is a standard that is usually some kind of fiscal compensation for performing these kind of duties, because this goes above and beyond what the normal police officer does on the road. This, like I said, this is, they're taking the additional responsibilities. It's sometimes extra time. It's definitely more narrative, more writing. We actually construct a 3-ring binder from the training records, and that individual then is graded on all of the actions they took during that 16 weeks. What we're asking for is, again, looking at what a budget can support. It can't support that, but I do believe that some compensation is necessary. So what we're asking for is every 3 weeks that an individual is training another individual within the FTO program, that they receive a 1-day FTO compensation. So they will receive an administrative day for every 3 weeks that they, 3 weeks of work that they put into it. Now, they have to be full days. That has to be an 8-day assignment. So it'll be 24 hours is the assignment that you have to put in. I'm sorry, not 24 hours. It'd be 120 hours of work that you, 12, 20 would be good. 120 hours. Can I sign up for that? So you have to put in 120 hours of work in order to get the compensation. And again, I'm just trying to be fair to the extra work that I'm putting on those officers. So I would ask you to approve the field training for 3.2.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 23, discussion and action to amend Policy 5.3, Computer and Electronic Equipment Usage and Data Security of the Socorro Police Department Policies and Procedures Manual.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, Dave Burton, Chief of Police. Again, this comes back to the review of the incident. We did review body camera and vehicle camera of our own, as well as other agencies. At the same time, I don't know if you remember, but we had a conversation in council about purchasing more body-worn cameras to capture these type of events. Well, what we found out is that we were missing language, because when you apply for a body-worn camera grant, you have to send off your current body-worn camera policy, and the language that you're seeing is what came back from the state. Hey, we need you to put this following language in. We did that. We've already sent this forward, and we were successful in receiving the grant, but now we have to do a retroactive fix on the policy. It covers 3 areas. The policy covers 3 areas. The first one is that we'll treat all video as evidence. So storage, precautions that we have to take with normal physical evidence, we agree that we'll take that with video evidence. The second one is that we understand that all video is accessible to a records request. So we agree to go along with the Texas statute regarding records request. And the third one is that we agree that we will allow police officers to view video in the event that they need to write a report about the incident. So before they write the report, we agree that we'll allow them to view the video, which is not a bad thing, because obviously there's some stuff that you might miss. You can see it for yourself that way, and you're reflecting on the actions that you took and then the incident as it evolved. So I would ask you to approve policy 5.3.
Question?
Ms. Villalobos?
So, Chief Burton, at this point, they're not allowed to go back to the video to view it because there was not a policy in place?
Yes, ma'am. We were silent on that. We didn't have specific language that said so, but so we have to have that in place.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Yes.
Item number 24, discussion and action to amend Policy 6.1, Use of Force of the Socorro Police Department Policies and Procedures Manual.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, Dave Burton, Chief of Police. 6.1 deals with use of force. Specifically, what we're talking about is under Section 4 Procedures, subsection C, and then all the way down to item number 3A. We're talking about firearms here. Discharging a firearm, when is that allowed? Specifically in this type of incident where we had a suspect in a motor vehicle. So I've been a little bit more restrictive on what the state allows, because I wanted to spell it out for the officers as far as when they can use their weapon. And the reason, because I have a concern on that, is the backdrop. What does the backdrop look like? Are they taking that into consideration? And also, do they understand that if they do discharge a weapon, they're shooting at a moving target? That doesn't mean that we're going to disable that target. Even if we disable the operator, that item or object is still moving. So of course, that represents a danger still. So we're going to be a little bit more restrictive on that. So under A, no Socorro police officer shall fire their weapon, lethal or less lethal, at a moving vehicle in an attempt to disable the vehicle unless it is the last action available to the officer and the action is necessary to save the life of the officer or an innocent third party. The threat to the officer or third party must be articulable as imminent. B, before a Socorro police officer fires a weapon, lethal or less lethal, at a moving vehicle, due to it being the last action available to the officer, they must establish that the backdrop ground is clear of innocents, bystanders, pedestrian traffic, and other officers. If the backdrop is not clear, the officer is prohibited from firing the weapon. C, each time a Socorro police officer fires the weapon, lethal or less lethal, they must be able to articulate that the need is active and meets a probable cause and imminency of threat. Socorro police officers cannot base their decisions to fire weapons because of prior or previous information, actions on the part of the individuals involved in the activity. The threat or imminency must be occurring at the time the weapon is fired and be readily apparent to the officer who fires the weapon. So in other words, the action has to be occurring right in front of the officer so they can take the judgment or the action or that they need to take to stop it, and they're not allowed to go on historical information because, as you know, information may change as we go along in these type of incidents. So I would ask you to approve policy 6.1.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 25, discussion and action to amend policy 7.14, vehicle operation of the Socorro Police Department Policies and Procedures Manual.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, Dave Burton, Chief of Police. This one I had to put in, didn't think I would have to, but I had to spell it out. So if we go to Section 4, Procedures for Emergency Driving, and then under A, General, subsection number 1, and then we go down to A. No personally owned vehicle shall be used at any time by any Socorro Police personnel who are actively involved or active participants in any Socorro Police Department pursuit, investigation, police activity, or emergency response. They're not allowed to drive their personal cars if they're in a pursuit. I would ask you to approve 7.14 with the language change.
That was a sign.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 26, discussion and action to amend policy 7.15, vehicle pursuit of the Socorro Police Department Policies and Procedures Manual.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, Dave Burton, Chief of Police. This one has to do with vehicle pursuits and the positioning of the vehicles owned by the Socorro Police Department in that pursuit. In the incident that we were looking at, some of our unmarked vehicles actually passed a marked vehicle to take over the lead position. That's not allowed by the model pursuit policy that Texas has adopted. So we're going to go and spell that out, that you're not allowed to do that. If there's a marked unit up front, the marked unit stays up front. So we're going to change under Section 4, Procedures and for Pursuits, subsection B, Primary Officer Responsibilities, item number 1, and then A, no Socorro Police vehicle shall participate in a pursuit unless it's equipped with emergency lights and sirens. No unmarked Socorro Police Department which is equipped with lights and sirens shall participate as the primary lead vehicle once a marked vehicle is available. The marked unit is to take the primary position even when it belongs to another jurisdiction or agency. No unmarked Socorro Police vehicle is permitted to pass or take the lead from a marked vehicle when that marked vehicle is functioning as the primary pursuit vehicle. No Socorro police officer is permitted to fire their weapon, lethal or less lethal, from inside a moving Socorro police vehicle. And any Socorro police supervisor who witnesses Socorro police officers and vehicles engaged in a pursuit shall terminate the pursuit when violations of the pursuit policy have been observed. It is not necessary for this Socorro police supervisor to be the primary shift or on-duty Socorro police supervisor. That last part was part of the questioning that we did as to why other supervisors in this pursuit didn't terminate it or didn't call out violations, and the answer given was, well, we believe that the duty supervisor was in charge. So this way it spells it out. If you're a supervisor in that pursuit and you see something that occurs and you need to call it off, then you have the right to do that. I would ask you to make the recommendation, make the motion to pass 7.15 with the language change.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 27, discussion and action to amend policy 8.6, active shooter response of the Socorro Police Department Policies and Procedures Manual.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, Dave Burton, Chief of Police. When we were doing the review, one of the questions we asked was, why did you feel that you had to discharge your weapon? The answer given in some of the cases was this was an active shooter response. It's not an active shooter response under federal definition, so that we changed the policy so it meets the federal definition. So under this, we go into Section 3, Procedures, subsection A, Notifications. Number 1, in order to be classified as an active shooter incident, the primary intent of a suspect, established through their actions, available information, or intelligence, is to cause a mass casualty event. The victims of the mass casualty event are innocent third parties who would otherwise have no involvement in the event. The act of an individual discharging a weapon at police officers who are engaged in responding to a call for service, attempting to arrest an individual, acting in emergency response capacity, or engaged in a criminal investigation does not by itself constitute an active shooter incident. I would ask you to approve policy 8.6 with the language change.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 28, discussion and action on approving revised job descriptions for Parks and Public Works, Police Department, Planning and Zoning, Human Resources, Finance, Recreation Center, and Information Technology.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Council, Mayor and Council. Carol Candelaria, HR Director. This agenda item is the second set of job descriptions that are being amended. During our fiscal year, we were asked to conduct a salary survey, which we presented to Council on July 16th of 2022 during our budget workshop. These amended job descriptions reflect the basic, intermediate, and the advanced phases that we discuss. The police officer job descriptions reflect steps 3, 2, and 1. This allows the employees to grow with the organization and bring everyone into competitive salary. Please note, not all positions are receiving an adjustment as these positions are within the market. I'm available for any questions. We do ask that you approve these job descriptions as they are.
No questions.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lopes.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Grants Department, item number 29, discussion and action to ratify modification 1 to the original grant award for the fiscal year 2021 West Texas HIDTA program, increasing the grant award to $82,044. There's no match for this grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, City Development Director. We did receive a grant award from the West Texas HIDTA program, totaling $74,844. We did need an increase in funding to allow operations to continue through December 2022. That award was awarded with modification number 1. We do need City Council approval to ratify the agreement and formally accept the award.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lopes.
Yes.
Item number 30, discussion and action to reappoint Marty Loya and Emil Chaparro to the City of Socorro Community Initiatives CSCI Board of Directors.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We are requesting your approval to reappoint Marty Loya and Emil Chaparro to the CSCI's Board of Directors. Ms. Marty Loya and Mr. Chaparro have served as the CSCI Board of Directors, the founding board, since its inception in 2019. Our bylaws require us to take staggered terms and reappoint directors every 3 years. They did draw sticks to see whose term would be first to come up. Unfortunately, Ms. Marty and Mr. Emil, they were selected to be reappointed this year. So we're asking that you approve an additional term so that they're able to fulfill a full term. Mr. Chaparro, in addition to serving as our vice chair, he's also on the El Paso County Historical Commission. He's a local teacher here, and he's been very instrumental in helping us develop our history goals in our strategic plan. And as you know, Ms. Marty Loya did serve in our Historical Landmark Commission. She's also a local business owner, a farmer, a community member, and so she's also been instrumental in helping us incorporate local farmers, small business owners, and community members into our strategic plan and all of our goals. So we do ask for a reappointment at this time.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colombia Lopes.
Yes.
Planning and Zoning Department, item number 33, discussion and action to approve Resolution 717, approving a preliminary plat for Rancho Resende subdivision being tracked 4C15A, Block 3, Socorro Grand, Socorro, Texas, and approving a variance for Lot 2 to allow the reduction of the rear yard setback from 25 feet to 22 feet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, good evening. Carlos Gainar. I believe it's the last item of the evening. This is a preliminary plat, so essentially what it is, it's a lot split for a property that contains 2 homes. And so as part of the background, it is zone R1, single-family residential. It is 1.21 acres in size. The address is 911 Spark Circle, not too far from here. The future land use map for the city of Socorro has this as rural residential, and the land use, the proposed land use will continue to be residential since it is zone R1. Again, the request is to approve a preliminary plat. Essentially, this is a lot split, and there are 2. So essentially, it's a lot split with 2 different homes. Each lot would now have a home, but because the lot 2 has an existing structure, they need a variance on the setback. The setback on the R1 for the rear yard is 25 feet. They are at about 22 feet. Planning and zoning staff is recommending approval, and so is the P&Z. Here's the location map again, Spark Circle, right around the corner from us. Here is the zoning map, which is R1. Here are pictures of the property. So as I mentioned, there's 2 different structures currently there now. The top one shows one structure, the bottom picture shows the second structure. Here is the aerial image. Here is the preliminary plat. So the preliminary plat shows essentially what is currently there on the site. And you see the dotted line, that's where the subdivision would happen between the 2 lots. And then just a little bit more detailed information on the variance. So lot 2, currently, again, it has a house there now. The variance is for 22 feet of the required 25 feet. And the summary, again, approval of preliminary plat. The final plat will have to come back to you, and staff and P&Z are both recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Cruz?
With the approval of P&Z, do you remember what the voting was? Was it unanimous?
I believe on this one, Mr. Cruz, it was unanimous. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to delete items 37, 38, and 39.
Motion to approve. I mean, second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz. And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Ahora sí, say it.
Motion to adjourn.
He beat you to it.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Yes.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
And we adjourn at 7:44.